And are you refreshed? Good. Now what?
Well, that was a surprise. So I have been introduced to Abraham about, I would say, 3 years ago, and I have been doing really, really well. I wanted to meet the love of my life, and I did. He's extremely creative and brilliant person, and we have a house, we have money, we have all this opportunity, and I've always loved pigs. I had everything in pigs, and I had no idea why. I never lived on a farm. And turns out now I manifested a man with the pig, which is really hard in California. So I have all these things happening, and they're so wonderful. Now,
So the universe can give you everything that's in your vortex. Is that what you're telling us? No matter how improbable it may seem.
yes.
Yes.
Yes. However, we got chickens, I'm just kidding. But all of a sudden, things that I have been running away from, mostly anger and alcohol abuse, came into my experience with my husband. And I am trying to do everything that you recommend doing, writing a list of positive aspects, thinking positively about him. And it seems like he's going in exactly opposite direction than me. The more I'm into Abraham, the more he's into drinking. And the more I'm trying to calm myself and be in a receptive mode, the more anger I get. And that seems to be my glass ceiling in my relationship. I have a lot of anxiety about it, and it seems like it's preventing me from doing all the good things. But at the same time, I'm hesitant to leave because I know with my track record, it amplifies. I was getting an angry partner before, and now I'm getting angrier one. So I know that I better work it out somehow. I'm just not sure how to go about it.
Well, these things are always true. Let's just give you a list of things to sort of stabilize this conversation. Whatever you are giving your attention to, it is logical that you would get more of. It's also logical that something that's up close to you would get quite a bit of your attention. And these are the most difficult situations in which to change, because you're observing what you don't want and getting more of what you don't want. And yet it's difficult to put your attention upon anything other than what you're observing if what you're observing is so prevalent. The thing that trips most people up in a situation like this is that you believe that it's your job to line up in order to change the behavior of someone else. And your work isn't to change someone else's behavior. Your work is to find a way of feeling good regardless of the conditions that surround you, and sort of unconditionally find alignment, and then the universe will yield to you what you want. But you have to leave the other person out of the equation, which almost no one does, especially when the conversation is about relationships. So you could make lists of positive aspects about this person, and it would make you feel better. Have you tried that? But even making lists of positive aspects, you haven't been doing much of that. Even making lists of positive aspects still gets you looking conditionally. It gets you looking in the wrong place. If there's anything that we've been wanting to convince you all of in these hours that we've been playing together here today, it's to let what is take a lesser seat while you let what is coming and how you feel take a bigger seat, a more important seat. So how many hours a day do you spend with this person?
Not many.
Well, then you have less of an excuse to be complaining about how this person behaves. But when you spend the time that you are not with that person thinking about and feeling bad about the behavior of that person, then you take the vibration wherever you go, and you are your own point of attraction, you see. It's a very common thing. Almost everyone wants somebody else to be different so that they can feel better. And it's opposite of what deliberate creation is really about. Deliberate creation is feeling good anyway. Feeling good anyway. Not letting the behavior or the attitude or the opinions or the beliefs of someone else be so dominant in your experience that it affects the way you feel. That's what true mastery of law of attraction really is.
I have a question about the alcohol that my husband is obviously using to kind of get into a vortex. As you were saying before, it's kind of like a wrong way to the vortex, right?
Well, there are better ways, but don't you want to take anything you can get?
I guess so, but how do I show him the right way?
Well, here's the thing. You've got to stop making him so much of your business. And we know that's a hard thing because you feel like you've come together. But it's true with so many people who are parenting, and it's true with so many people who are coupling. You are taking an attitude of ownership over other people. And the moment they get a whiff of that, they become rebellious. So it's not your job. What he does and how he behaves is not your job. And if you can just accept that, then the universe can yield to you through him or around him what you really want. But as long as you are making his behavior your job over which you have no real control, then you're sort of stuck where you are for that time.
Makes sense.
If you can acknowledge that sometimes he is in alignment, that's often true. If you could acknowledge that when you first met him, you felt many points of harmony, which is true. If you could recognize that, like everyone, sometimes he's in greater alignment, sometimes he's in lesser alignment, even like yourself. If you can acknowledge that you've come far in understanding recently, where you are no longer wanting to hold someone else responsible for the way you feel. If you could accept him as some valuable contrast to help you understand that. If you could accept that nothing went wrong, that your impulse to be together, both for him and for you, was for the contrasting evolution that would take place. If you could accept that some of what now is in your vortex would not be there if you had not lived together. If you could accept that you are clearer about who you are and what you want than you've ever been, and he is in large part receiving the credit for that. If you could acknowledge that nothing is ever going wrong, that things are continuing to evolve and change, and that they are always changing for the better if you will allow them. If you would acknowledge that you don't have to leave this person in order to get what you want, that what you want does not require that kind of drastic behavior, because that's what's most tripping you up. You feel like you want to go and you feel like you can't go. You feel like you want to go and sometimes you feel like you don't want to go. You feel like you want to go, but this place feels like security. And what we're saying to you is you can have it all. You can stay right where you are, feeling the security of that nest while you're reaching for more of what you're wanting, and the universe will find a way to yield to you what you want, either within that relationship or somewhere else. You can get to where you want to be from where you are, but not by battling where you are. Battling where you are only gets you more of what you're battling, and that's what you just said to us. You said, with my track record, and we want to say, that's the track record of law of attraction. That's not your track record. Law of attraction says you get what you think about, whether you want it or not. That's a universal track record, you see. And if you want something different, you have to think differently. And be easy about it. We think that you have accomplished something quite wonderful, and we think that this relationship is very meaningful, and we think that it is serving you both in the way that you intended for it to. And we know that it has a capacity to evolve and expand. We know that both of you can get what you want from it. We also know that you don't have to get what you want from it. You can get what you want from something else. Just stop making demands on it, and what you want will come. It's our promise to you.
Thank you.
Relationships are tricky, aren't they? Because you think that once I get this in place, then everything will be perfect. And you often think, this is the biggest funny thing that you think. someone is better than no one. And what you really mean is alignment is better, and then whatever matches that will come.